So now, as promised, I don't know how many people are still alert, but I will share the story anyways. There's actually more than one version of this, not more than there's two stories related to the Baal Shem Tov and being in Istanbul and Pesach. So I'm going to share both stories. It'll take a little bit, but I hope you enjoy. So the story is that the Baal Shem Tov, as we know, like others did too, always had this yearning to go to visit or maybe even make aliyah to Israel. And the way it worked those days, if you were in Eastern Europe or what was later known as the Pale of Settlement area, you went down south, right? You went to like places like Odessa or Crimea. You took a ship in the Black Sea. Like if you're following the wars of Ukraine and what's going on there, you get a sense of it. And then you took the ship and you went to the Bosphorus Straits, which is Istanbul, which used to be known as Constantinople. And then you did your last route from there, going through to the Mediterranean and make yourself into the land of Israel. That was usually route, and it wasn't easy. It was very difficult, and there's more than one story of aborted trips or people who turned back in the middle. It was so difficult. There's even one of the early aliyot of the Hasidim in 1777, 77 yeah, happened. One of the boats drowned. People died, but they still went ahead. A lot of them, anyways. So this is the story. It's that sometime, the dates we don't know exactly, but let's say it's somewhere like the 1740s. I think the story is that. By the way, the Baal Shem Tov had a brother-in-law who made Aliyah to Israel, Rav Gershon Kittiv already. And there's letters we have the Baal Shem Tov to his brother-in-law in Israel, and we know the Baal Shem Tov already expressed he wanted to go. He also had a thing to meet up with the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, the holy Orach Chaim, who was in Israel. And they say if the two would have met up, Mashiach would have come. So the Baal Shem Tov really had this yearning to go to Israel. So he travels, he goes all the way from Europe and to the Black Sea. He makes it to Constantinople, and it's 2 days before Pesach. 2 days before Pesach, and I suppose it was delayed, and whatever it was, he didn't have anything for Pesach, and he was traveling with his daughter Adel, the famous Adel, the grandmother of Reb Nachman of Breslov and others, the grandmother, I think, and I think the mother of Baruch Mezhebush and Dagel Machan Ephraim. Okay. Now at this point, also the Baal Shem Tov had, what happened is he had what is known as Katnus HaMeichin. He had Nefilas HaMeichin, that he lost all of his great Baal Shem Tov powers, great spiritual psychic powers, and even powers of even basics of learning and knowledge. They got there. So they didn't have any place to really stay or do. So the Baal Shem Tov went to the local synagogue to be there. It's the Erev Pesach, the day before Pesach. Meanwhile, his daughter went to the seaside and to the Bosphorus Sea, and she started with her father's clothing and she started washing. At least if they don't have anything for Pesach, at least they should have clean, fresh, nice clothing for the holiday. And there she is washing her father's clothing, and she's crying. When as she's washing, crying, a ship comes to dock, and out comes a bunch of people, including a local Jew merchant, wealthy person. Seems like someone who traded in wines. And he sees someone who appears like a young Jewish woman crying at the feet. So he goes over to her and says, what's up? How are you? She says, oh, I'm here with my father, who's a great holy person, but we're stranded here. We couldn't get to Israel in time for Pesach, and we don't have anything for Pesach. We don't know what to do. So the merchant had mercy, and he told Adol, you know what? Tell your father, you and your father could come and stay with me for Pesach. Wow. He gave her their address. Wow. So Adol runs to the shul, tells her Tati, Baal Shem Tov, we have a place. The person has invited us. Baal Shem Tov goes, happy too. They go to the address they're given. It's already like early afternoon Pesach, and they can't eat chametz because it's already after time. They can't eat matzah or anything. Because you're not supposed to eat matzah. But so there was nothing really to eat, but to drink there was like some kosher for Passover things, beverages, alcoholic. And the guy trades in wines anyway, so he gave to the Baal Shem Tov. And the Baal Shem Tov seemed like a very regular person, nothing ever extraordinary about him. And the merchant wasn't impressed initially by the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov drinks whatever he was drinking, and he gets tired, and he goes into the bedroom, and he lays down to go to sleep. And he sleeps. Meanwhile, Pesach begins. Everyone goes to shul, including the merchant. But Baal Shem Tov's still sleeping. The merchant comes back home to make the Seder, and Baal Shem Tov's still sleeping. So he tells Adol to go wake up your father. We want to start the Seder. So Adol says, no, I'm sorry. My father, you don't disturb his sleep. This is a known thing in general. Baal Shem Tov never wanted to be disturbed, not his sleep, not in his bedroom, what his things. This is holy way. So the merchant said, okay, you don't want to go, maybe because you want to respect your father, but he's my guest. I'm going to go in and wake him. So the merchant goes in and goes over, but he sees the Baal Shem Tov is in the bed, not really sleeping. His eyes are open. His face is red and tears are coming out, like real intense, like he's on fire. So this like really threw off the host in a way, and he realized this Baal Shem Tov is a holy person. So he left him alone and left the bedroom, and he started the Seder. Not long thereafter, the Baal Shem Tov got up. He gets up, and he starts first davening with great passion and enthusiasm to every rest. Then he sat down to the Seder, and he does with all its greatness, kavanness, and all this, and everyone's like, they see that this is someone like they've never experienced someone like this doing Seder before like this, such a way. And the Seder went on and on. He's doing it at length, and finally, like 3 o'clock in the morning, it comes at the end of the Haggadah where you say the Haidus, the Kilalim Chazdais, and the Baal Shem Tov gets into a trance, and he goes, "La'oy say niflois," the one who does miracles, "Gedailois levadai," great ones is only 10. And he repeats it over, and he says it long, and it stretches it out. "Oy say niflois, gedailois levadai." And over and over repeats it, goes in deep concentration. So and then eventually he finishes the Seder. So his host asks, sees him later, says, "Wow, dear guest, Rabbi Shol, I never saw someone do a Seder like this in my life. But explain to me what went on. Why did you get so caught up with La'is and Iflais Gedelis Levada?" This verse, what's going on? The Baal Shem Tov said, "Don't worry. Tomorrow in Shul, you'll find out what happened." Basically, he says there was a great decree, but I worked on intervening and to make sure that it didn't happen. And tomorrow in Shul, you'll find out the details. All right? So it comes the next morning, they go to Shul. And they're starting to daven. And runs in a wealthy, even wealthier person, also I think in the wine trade business, like one of the top wealthy people of the community. And he comes and he tells everyone, he goes onto the bimah, claps, and he says, want to let everyone know that thanks to Hashem, a great decree that befell upon our community was nullified overnight, and everything is great. And it's been a great miracle. Everyone's looking at each other like, what went on? So then the person gives over the following story. It says like this. A generation ago, before, the father of the current sultan, who ran the Ottoman Empire, the capital is Constantinople. He was a gracious, nice ruler. Now he had this proclivity that once in a while he would dress up like a common person, and he would go around through the streets just to experience and to hear from the local people what life is really like. And at times he would also go to the outskirts of Constantinople. And so it was, he was once doing this, and he went out to outside the city, and it was like really nice day, beautiful, with beautiful mountains. And so he started wandering farther, alone, until he got to a place that he got a bit lost. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know how to get back to the city. While this is happening, a group of bandits come out of nowhere, and they catch him. He's being kidnapped. He's being robbed. They go through his things. They take him to their hiding place, and they go through his thing. They find he has some precious stuff on him. He is the sultan, even though he's in ordinary clothes. Some valuable, and yeah. So now the question is, what do they do with him? They were thinking of just getting rid of him, of killing him, because he saw where their hideout place is, and if he's released, then they'll come after the bandits. The authorities will come after the bandits to their hiding place. The Sultan himself is thinking, what should I do? Should I tell them if I'm a Sultan or not? But he said, no, I can't tell them I'm the Sultan, because if I tell them it's the Sultan, then they'll for sure kill me, because they know if I'm released, then they'll for sure be punished. So the only way of survival is to keep it secret that I'm the Sultan. So, but I have to figure out a way that they don't kill me. So when they're getting ready, starting sharpening their knives, they want to start killing him. The Sultan says, oh, listen, guys, why kill me off? And that's it then. I have a better idea. I happen to be a very talented person of tapestry. I know how to make beautiful mats and blankets. And I'm a very great craftsman in this area. So why, if you kill me, you won't get any more money from me. But if you keep me alive, I will make you these beautiful mats and blankets, and then you could bring it into town, into the markets, wherever, and sell them off, and you'll make a hefty profit. And that way, everyone wins. You win, you get money, and I still stay alive. So you think about, oh, good idea, bandits. So he says, but you have to understand, my technique, my craftsmanship, tells them, is very subtle. That most people, even people experts in the area, carpets and mats, like, don't really know it. So when I give you a price, I'm going to give you, it's going to be a high price, exorbitant price, but don't go down in the price. You have to be steadfast. You ask for whatever, let's say 10,000, 100,000, whatever, the drachmas or whatever it is, you stick to it. You don't go down in price. And only the top experts will understand its great value and that it's worth it. Okay. So he makes, they bring him materials and he makes one of these carpets, and for a couple of days, and he gives it to them, to the bandits. One of the bandits goes into town, into the city, brings it, and he starts showing it around. And so people look at it, oh, interesting. How much do you want for it? I want 50,000. So you're crazy. This is a cheap thing. Why are you charging so much? He says, no. He's stubborn and not going down in price, not at all. And he goes from one store, one market person to the other in the bazaar, and everyone, to the point everyone starts laughing at him. They think he's a fool, if not a cheat, and they're all making fun of him. Like who thinks that this $50 shmata thing is worth 50,000, and it creates a scene. As this is happening, a Jewish merchant walks by, and he sees what's going on. He's seeing, and he hears the story of what's going on. This guy wants so much money for what seems like a quite plain carpet thing. So they're calling him a fool, but he looks at the bandit, and the guy doesn't look like a fool. It looks like he's intelligent. He's normal. So he realizes that there's something a little bit deeper going on here. So he starts inspecting the carpet, and he notices that in the corner, hidden somewhere, there's a letter that's sewn in. The first letter of the Sultan's name, actually. But it's like a mysterious letter that didn't belong there. It was just like out of the ordinary. So he realizes that there's something going on here. So this Jewish merchant who had the means, he took a risk and he said, you know what, I'll pay for you the full price you're asking for. And being he wanted to see if what's going on, because he felt that he had a premonition, something's up to with this. He said, the next one, bring it to me. I may buy the next one too. All right. So the bandit gets his 50,000. He goes back to the hiding place. They're all happy, and they see that this plan is working out. So they tell the Sultan to go and make another one, which he does, and this time he sews in the second letter of his name. And a couple of days later, one of the bandits comes back into the city and shows it to the Jewish merchant, and he sees, wow, it's the second letter of the Sultan's name. So he realizes that something's up here, something fishy. So he goes to the palace of the Sultan. And one way or another, he finally gets in to speak to someone, the top, who knows, and he explains to him what was going on, that the story with this carpets and the Sultan's letters of his name is popping up. They confide with him that there's a big crisis in the palace because the Sultan disappeared and no one knows where he is. And then they don't even know where to begin to look for him. So they realize that this carpet thing is the Sultan sending out signals that he's alive and all that. So they decide that they're going to keep on with this plan, and that means that this Jew will buy each of the carpets. And that way, each time you got another letter or a couple letters till it spelled out the Sultan's name. And the Sultan also put into the carpets eventually where the location of where he's being held. Once they got all the information, At the end, they didn't let the bandit, the bandit go back home. They arrested him, so he doesn't keep, put on to let, bring awareness to the other bandits. They go and surprise the bandits in their hideout place, and they go and they free the Sultan. And he comes back home alive, safe. Because of this, the Sultan, he is very in great gratitude to the Jewish merchant saving his life. So he asks him, please, it says, tell me anything you want, I'll do for you. So the merchant says, listen, dear, my dear, your majesty, thank you very much, but I happen to be of well means, and I have a beautiful family. I'm not missing anything in my life. So with all greatness, it's just saving your life in itself was the greatest gift. I don't need anything more. I'm doing it as a loyal subject to your highness. That in itself really impressed the Sultan. And he said, okay, therefore, I will tell you whether you like it or not. I'm going to make like this, that from now on, for posterity, any time that you or your children need to see me or need to communicate with me, you have open access to come to the palace and speak directly with me. You have like a free card to come in whenever you need to, whenever you want. For you and your children and for my children. Okay, good. It's made up. Years went by, and life was good. There was no reason to go to the Sultan and all that. So, meanwhile, the Jewish merchant passed away. His son took over the business. So too, the Sultan passed away, and his son became the new Sultan. Now, one year, which is this year we're talking about, when the Baal Shem Tov came to Istanbul, the Sultan is going through on his royal carriage through the city with his grand vizier, his grand advisor, and he's checking out what's going on in the streets, and then he sees that there's a Jewish wagon carriage, and there's a whole bunch of these round wafer type of breads or whatever basically there on a wagon. It's being moved around, packages of them. So he asks the vizier, "What is this stuff? I've never saw this type of food before. It's not in the bakeries. What is this?" So the vizier, who was also a Seinei Yisrael, he was anti-Semite. He said, you don't know what this is? This is called matzah. And this the Jewish people eat for the Passover meal called the Seder. Now, of matzah, there's special matzah. It's called shmura matzah. And this shmura matzah is made by mixing in the blood of a Muslim child. Right, so this is the idea of the Christian blood libel applied to a Muslim country, to the Ottoman Empire. So they go, they kill a Muslim child, and they mix the blood into the shmura. That is what shmura matzah means. And if you don't believe me, you could do your own investigation about it. So the Sultan had his people go out and ask around, is there such a thing called shmura matzah? And he finds out, yes, there is. And that the Jews use it. So rather than thinking maybe the definition of shmura matzah is wrong, but the fact that he heard that there's such a thing, shmura matzah, so he associated with what his vizier, who he trusted, that this is what it is. It's matzah with the blood of a Muslim child. So now this really upset him. And with instigation of the vizier, he decided to go and to banish and kick out all the Jews from Istanbul, and to do terrible things to them, to clean up. And in his mind, he's doing a good thing because he's stopping this innocent murder, or he thought of Muslim children. The vizier is happy because he got the sultan onto his anti-Semitic project, and they decide that they're going to do it, take care of all this on Passover, when the Jews are supposed to eat the matzah. Right, and that week of the week of Passover. There. Okay. Then, so now, the son of that original merchant who saved the father of the sultan, the sultan senior. So the son, this merchant, so like there was already a list written up by the sultan of all the Jews that they were going to imprison, including this. So it's Erev Pesach, and he's helping and things for Passover. It's all busy, and he gets retired, so he lays down to sleep. In his sleep, he has a dream. In the dream, his father, one who saved the original, or the father, the sultan senior, comes to him and tells him, "My son, there's a great decree on the Jewish people of Istanbul, Constantinople. You have to go and use the merit that I got from the father sultan. You have to go directly to the palace and nullify the decree. Get access to the sultan, explain and nullify it. And the sign of this is that the vizier who instigated this whole plot against the Jews himself is not a Muslim. He's in fact a secret Greek Orthodox Christian." Okay. The merchant wakes up. He's befuddled. It's a strange dream, but it's still just a dream. And what does he know any better? It's busy Erev Pesach, so he didn't make too much out of it. It shook him up, but there's things to do. So he continues preparing for Pesach. Not long thereafter, suddenly he gets really tired again. So he goes to lay down again. And he lays down in bed. And guess what happens? His father comes back a second time to him in the dream. Repeats the same dream. He has to go to the palace and nullify the decree. So this time he wakes up. And I think this time already was later. It was already in like the night, the evening, already like Seder time. So he realizes that he has to do something. So, two dreams at a time and exactly the same, there's something there. So he rushes to the palace. Now, even though he had the rights to go see straight the sultan, but it was already nighttime and the sultan was in bed already. So he decided, instead of doing that, he's going to go and try to see the queen mother, the mother of the sultan, who was the widow. She's the widow of the old sultan, the one who his father saved his life. And being he had this special privilege of access, they allowed him to. The queen mother was still up. He went to her and he told her the whole story with the dream, what he dreamt, and implored with her to go to her son to see if they could to stop this decree against the Jews, and that it's all made up and it's not true, the whole thing. Now the sultan's mother, on the one hand, was very moved by it, this whole story, but on the other hand, she wasn't 100% sure if it's true either. So what she decided to do was that she would go to her son into his bedroom chamber and make the story as if she had the dream. She had a dream that her son is going to do something bad on the Jews, and if they could stop it. And that way, when she mentions, she'll see how her son reacts and if there's truth to the story. So the queen mother goes to her son's chamber, he wakes him up, and he says, "My son is Is it true that that there's something that you're doing that could be really like very harsh, very negative, especially against the Jews? He says, no, what are you talking about? It's nothing harsh, negative. Actually, it's a good thing, because I found out that these Jews have this thing called shmur matzah, and they put Muslim blood in. And I'm coming here, I'm going to stop this terrible ritual and bring back yeah. So when the Queen Mother heard this, she realizes that there was truth to the story of the dream, the merchant. And with that, she continued and gave over the rest of the dream to the Queen Merchant, which also included, but not only that it's not true, this whole idea of using the blood, but that the vizier is actually a hidden Greek Orthodox Christian. And the mother convinced the son, and the Sultan then went and middle of the night went and got a bunch of his guards to go and the story was that in the dream is that how do you know that the vizier is a Greek Orthodox Christian? Is that when he sleeps he has a necklace with a cross on it. Okay, when he's sleeping. So he sends the guards to surprise the vizier at home. They come, he's in bed, sleep. The guards go and they go to his bed, they open up his robe, and they see, behold, he's wearing a necklace with a crucifix on. And in such rage and betrayal, they went and the guards killed him on the spot. And that way, this whole plot was nullified. And when they checked out the time, it came out that it was exactly the time that the Baal Shem Tov was saying la'osei neflais gedolos levadai. That was exactly the time that the guards came and caught the vizier in bed, in the way he did, and got rid of him. And that way, the whole Gzeir decree was annulled. All right. So that is one story with the Baal Shem Tov of how he was involved with saving the miracle of the blood libel of Istanbul, the event through the Baal Shem Tov. This is one story. Now there's another story, apparently of the same voyage, but it's different in twofold. Both the way it describes the Baal Shem Tov was the first night of the Seder, and also that it has a continuation of what happened after the first 2 days of Pesach. Okay. And here's the other story, or if you want to say version story of the Baal Shem Tov in Istanbul. It's also that Baal Shem Tov was with Adol, and also his assistant, the scribe Tzvi, the Sofer. They also wound up in Istanbul right before Pesach, a couple of days before. They also didn't have any place to be, or rather they had a place to be, but they didn't have what they needed for the Seder. But then before Pesach, someone who's from Poland starts going through the streets, and he says, "Oh, I heard that there's a guy, Rabbi Saul of Poland is here in Istanbul, and I'm Ashkenazi too, and I'd like to keep this, Seder in company with a fellow Pole. So where does he live?" And he found out where the Baal Shem and Adol and Tzvi Sefer are. And he came over to them and he said, "Look, I'm well-to-do. I have everything I need for Pesach. You don't have anything. So let me stay here with you and we'll make a beautiful Seder." And so it was. They made a beautiful Seder. And at the Seder also, the Baal Shem Tov in the middle of the Seder said, I have a sense that you, it was the guy and his wife, you coupled and you don't have any children, so I bless you, and you should have children, and you will have children here. So as soon as he said this, a voice from heaven communicated to the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Saul, know that both the husband and the wife were not able to bear children. So what you did with your blessing, on the one hand, we can't take it back because it's tzaddik. When tzaddik goes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when a tzaddik says something, a blessing has to be fulfilled. But on the other hand, you stepped over the laws of nature here and you did something that shouldn't have happened. So it's not punishment. So because of that, we're taking away your whole olam haba, all your reward of world to come. As soon as the Baal Shem Tov heard this, how did he react? He became full of happy and joy, and he started continuing to say to him with great joy. Why? Because now the Baal Shem Tov says, now I have no ulterior motives to serve Hashem. Not even for world to come. I know for sure I won't have a world to come. Now I could serve Hashem only purely 100%, just to serve God. And so he went on with the Seder. And went on, and guess what? At the end of the Seder, another voice came to the Yisrael and said, Rabbi Yisrael, because you're serving Hashem so much without any ulterior motives, totally purely, that's how you accepted your lot, then therefore we're giving you back your world to come because of that. So that's how that happened. And eventually, that couple did have children and all that. But not to get ahead of ourselves, the story continues that after the 2 days of Pesach, the two Seder, came Chol HaMoed, and the Baal Shem Tov was antsy. He was in a rush. He just wanted to get to Israel for the last days of Pesach. But there they are in the Bosphorus Sea, and there's no way. So he tells Tzvi, this scribe, the truth is, I have a way we could do quick travel, and we don't even need a boat. I have a special name of Hashem, incantation, that if you say it, use it, and keep it, your mind focused on it the whole time, then we'll be able to travel on the water even without a ship and make it to Israel for the last days. But if you even once, for one tiny second, lose focus, concentration, the whole thing doesn't work and we'll drown. But see, here's this, and he tells me, Rebbe, I know you certainly have the powers and abilities, and you're trusting me, but I don't know about me. I can't take this responsibility. So instead of that, Rebbe arranged that they get on a ship. They get on a ship that it's going to take like 2-3 days, whatever days, to make it to Israel, the end of Pesach. They go on the ship, and the first 2 days, it's stormy and rocky, and it's all chaotic, shaking all about. And they're sort of lost, like off navigation route. The third day, the sea becomes calm. It's not even moving. And they're in the middle of nowhere. But then they see that the captain of the ship sees in the distance an island. That's not even on his maps. So he goes and he people needed desperation. They want he go to the island. And let people go off the island. You go spend time on the island till they could figure out what to do from here. And they start going about. So Baal Shem Tov, Reb Tzvi, and Reb Adol, they start wandering the island. And before long, they're away from everyone else. And they wind up in some part of the island that's wild, and they lose their route, their way. They don't know how to get back. And before long, a group of like these bandits come and capture them. And tie them up to the trees. So I think one version is even that they were cannibals. I don't know, or something, or maybe not. The story is that they're tied up, and they're starting to sharpen their knives to kill them off. But meanwhile, they get hungry. So they take a break to go and eat something. During this pause, now this is also, we mentioned before, the Baal Shem Tov went to a state of Meichen de Katnus in the earliest version of the story. He lost his consciousness. So in this version of the story, this is where he got the Meichen of Katnus. That he had diminution, that he forgot, he lost all of his spiritual superpowers, and even learning, and he was mamish like the most simple person. And they're tied up. So the Baal Shem Tov says to Reb Tzvi, I can't, I don't have anything to focus, no kavanas, no learning, no powers, I have nothing. Reb Tzvi, help me, tell me, maybe you remember something, maybe you remember a Torah I taught you, or you know something yourself. So Reb Tzvi tells him, Rebbe, I lost all of my mind, my Meichen de Gadlus. I have only Meichen de Katnus. Can't remember anything either. So they're in desperation. They're both tied up there. So then the Baal Shem Tov says, do you remember anything, Reb Tzvi? So Reb Tzvi says, yeah. Finally he says, yeah, one thing I do remember. I remember Aleph Beis. So Baal Shem Tov says, okay, Reb Tzvi, you say Aleph Beis and I'll repeat after you. And that is what happens, that the Tzvi started saying Aleph, and Baal Shem said Aleph, Beis, Gimel Tav. And as they're saying this, that their strength got more, and they were able to break out of their bounds from being tied up to the trees, and they were able to escape and find their way back to the ship. Once they got back to the ship, the captain figured out that they can't go farther ahead, but that they're going to turn back to go back to Istanbul, and that will take like a day, which they did. And the Baal Shem Tov made it back to Istanbul for Shvi Shel Pesach, for the last days of Pesach. And he took from this a message that he wasn't meant to, by Hashem, he wasn't meant, as much as he wanted, he yearns to go to Israel, he's not meant to go. And that's why the Baal Shem Tov apparently never attempted to go back to Israel. And because of this, that he was saved from the pirate, I don't know, not pirates, from these kidnappers and what have you, the island, and made it back to Istanbul safely and didn't drown. Because of that, he made the meal of Haidah, gratitude, on the last days of Pesach, Achon Shel Pesach. And this is the meal that we mentioned before. I was speaking with Danny before we came on Facebook, that the Baal Shem Tov said that for at least 10 generations, his descendants should make this meal of gratitude on the last days of Pesach, and that during the meal, they should recount this story of the miracle, of how the Baal Shem Tov was saved. And what happened was that this Suda, which was known as the Suda of the Baal Shem Tov, eventually evolved to become known the meal as the Suda, the meal of Mashiach, which was then incorporated and became something that is done by many till this day, primarily in Lubavitch, Chabad, including drinking 4 cups of wine on Achon Pesach, the last Pesach, and it's all connected again to this very story that's recounted. So if you ever do attend a meal on the last day of Pesach of a descendant of the Baal Shem Tov who's within 10 or 11 generations, some count the generations, not the Baal Shem Tov himself, but from his daughter or child, Adol. That means 10 after the Baal Shem Tov, means 11 generations, which I have friends who are from that level, the 11th generation, 10th or 11th, and you go there and you may hear them tell over the story, which has been told over the last over 250 years, was probably. Now, which is the correct version? I don't know. It's 2 stories. There isn't a contradiction in the elements of the stories. Meaning, the first story with the Sultan could be followed by the story of the Baal Shem Tov wanting to travel to Israel during Chol HaMoed and be. though the story with the Baal Shem Tov traveling and when being on the island, the beginning of it is he's not having the Seder with a local host, but he's having it with a fellow Pole that in his own place. So there's a little contradiction in the first part of the stories, but you could see that how the two stories, there are elements of both stories that work well together. So which parts are exactly accurate or not is not going to second guess. These are stories that are passed down through families and then tradition and Chassidim from their masters. So, as they say, with all the stories about Shem Tov, you have to, if you don't believe in any of them, you're a heretic. If you believe in all of them, then you're a fool. Therefore, you have to believe that all of them could have happened. Okay. All right. So there you are. Great stories of Baal Shem Tov, Seder in Istanbul, and I don't know if Danny's still up, but this is the story, and as I understand, she may be at the last days of Pesach at a descendant of Baal Shem Tov, and she may hear it directly from them. All right, so there we are. I know this was a longer story than usual, more than one, but I just felt that to share it because it's so interesting and promised to earlier on. And so therefore, I'm going to say now not Chasal Siddur Pesach, because we don't say, like some people don't say Chasal, there's no end. Pesach is the whole year round. But we're going to take a break now till next time we get together again. Maybe we'll get together next Wednesday night, Chalamayid, but if not, for sure in 2 weeks. And we'll certainly be able to. We'll sing the Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, Shine, 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 Shalayim Abnuya. And again, there's a lot of more nigunim I could share, but as mentioned earlier, you don't want to stretch it out too long. Sal Siddur Pesach Yilchato Yichot Mishpato Bechukato Asher Zechinu V'Sader Asoi Keinis V'Lasoi Soi Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim Abnuya. Have a kosher Frelch and Pesach, everyone. And may we find true freedom, liberation. And I'm going to just sing everyone before we check out. Good Shabbos, kosher Pesach. Good Shabbos, kosher Pesach, Dani. Good Shabbos, kosher Pesach. Good Shabbos, kosher Pesach. Jonathan, good Shabbos, kosher Pesach. Good Shabbos, kosher Pesach. Steve, good Shabbos, kosher Pesach. Shabbos, kosher Pesach. Ariel, good Shabbos, kosher Pesach. The Shabbos that Kosher Pesach, Beth, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, Eli, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, Keith, I think it was, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, everyone who's following on Facebook Live, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, everyone in the whole world, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach, to mamish everyone that needs to find true redemption in our lives, the Shabbos Kosher Pesach. Mitzrayim geyatanu, mibeis avodim v'nisanu, mitzrayim geyatanu, mibeis avodim v'nisanu, mitzrayim geyatanu, mibeis avodim v'nisanu, mitzrayim, hey, mitzrayim geyatanu, mibeis avodim v'nisanu, mitzrayim geyatanu, mibeis avodim v'nisanu, mitzrayim. Alachas kama v'chama tevachol chupas makem aleinu hetzionu mitzayim ya 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 nirana ya ya nirana ya nira ya ya nirana ya 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 nirana ya Okay, going out from Facebook land. Bye, everyone out there.